Hey, what is up, everybody? This is JR. Jason's going to be a few minutes late today. He's dealing with some personal stuff, but we got a great guest. Just talked to him for a few minutes before the show, and this guy is already like a brother from another mother. So I'm going to get him right on. Brandon Croucher is a CBD enthusiast, runs a CBD business, and is also going to talk to us a little bit about bipolar. And we're going to IEPs, and we're just going to have a fun conversation. So how's it going, Brandon?
I am honored to be here, JR. Thank you for having me on today.
It is all my pleasure. So we were just talking before the show. Brandon, you're in Ohio, but you're very familiar with a camp, Camp Barnabas, not too far from where I live in Southwest Missouri. I'm halfway between Kansas City and St. Louis. So
yes. Camp Barnabas was a big part of my life. If anybody doesn't know about it, it's a youth camp for kids with special needs.
Yep.
And in high school,
special needs, both physical,
all kinds,
and developmental.
Yes, that's the best part. Is each week is a different type of thing. So you have like a blind and deaf week where all the kids are blind and deaf. And the thing is, when you think about summer camp, we all have these memories. But imagine being blind. Your parents can't really send you to the normal summer camp. Well, this is where Camp Barnabas comes in. And they have all these different things. And at 16 years old, when you're running around with people that are blind and shooting a BB gun and hitting a target, like something that we all could do regularly and don't think of, right. And that you see that joy. They feel where they hit the bullseye. They're like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that was so different for me. And like, it opened up my eyes how such little things can make such a difference in my life, and finding the positives by being around people who really are about love, care, and compassion for one another.
Right. Well, Brenna, the whole idea kind of behind this show is I do my own autism show. Jason does his own bipolar kind of show, but this is to really celebrate mental health and not look at it from a negative standpoint, but try to get rid of the stigma. And
yes.
I know that's something you're big on. So why don't you tell us a little about yourself, about your show, and
you got it. So my name's Brandon Croucher. I actually have bipolar 2 disorder, which is, with bipolar, you get highs and lows. Mm-hmm. I don't get the highs. I get your average high of a normal person, and then I drop like a person with bipolar. So it's a lot of risk. There's a lot of statistics that say that it's like all these bad things, but the thing is, I didn't want it to be my crutch. I didn't want it to be my weakness. I truly wanted to be able to like not have that be something where I complained. And for me, bipolar was just, okay, so it means that I have times where I'm happy and I'm sad. I need to find a way to balance that. Right. And life has a way of making us all look at ourselves in different ways. And for me, that bipolar was one of these things that, while I may have struggled with problems in the past, and I may have had issues with like just your common anger, like things upset me easier than other people, it showed me that I have the choice of letting this dictate me or change me. And I wanted to make sure it didn't make me anything negative. I wanted to be able to use it as a positive, because so many people have mental health issues today. And just being able to be an example, to stand out and say, hey, I'm here to, if you suffer from bipolar disorder, if you suffer from depression, there's people out here that really want to be able to be that positive light. And for me, the reason I started my show, Java Delight, is I wanted it to be, truth be told, I got tired of the news. I literally it was in the middle of COVID. Everybody was still locked down. It was just starting to open up a little bit, but everybody was so angry. And you could feel animosity towards one another for no reason whatsoever. And I remember what that felt like when I first started learning about my mental illness and how I felt angry all the time. And it was like, how can we bring a positive? Because a lot of people are starting to suffer from mental health, from anxieties, depressions, kids being taught at home, and then there's no separation from their parents anymore now. You have mom, dad, teacher, everything. I wanted to be able to provide that positive. So with Java Delight, we focus on providing a shot of Java with a little bit of delight added in. We interview Yeah, we interview positive motivational people, from health coaches to wellness coaches to people who are writing books trying to just bring a positive atmosphere to the world. Yeah. And for me, if you start the day with a positive mindset, it's like a domino effect. Absolutely. One thing leads to another, and if you keep building that, your positives are going to outweigh your negatives, hands down.
Yeah. Hey, Brett, by the way, hello, Fernando. Thank you very much for hooking us up with Brandon. And if you're watching and you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the Facebook or the YouTube messages, and we'll get them and answer them. Wait, so go ahead, Brandon.
So for me, life's challenging, right? A lot of people have these things. I actually tell people on Java how those little things, I'm not happy every day. I have a lot of personality, but I'm not somebody that's going to be like, you could call me in the middle of the day and I'll be like, what? Just because it's like, you're in the middle of something, like any normal person. But I focus on creating daily goals. And if I can reach my goals without losing my temper, without overdoing anything, and still being able to get the best out of me, if I can get 4 days a week of doing that, did you know that actually leads to 150 more days positive in your life than negative?
I did not, but it does not surprise me. But as we were talking about setting those goals, I think the thing to point out to people is that they have to be realistic goals.
Correct. Yeah. And with bipolar, it's so easy. I have it written right over the wall over here. It literally says, go change the world. Now, as a bipolar person, people hear that and they're like, but the thing is, that goal for me is not the whole world. It is the whole world in the long run, but it's now, it's if I can change my world and I can make my world a better place and be an example, and then help people by providing options for them from meditation, prayer, exercise, diet, whatever it may be, just an option for them to try something new to better themselves. I'm helping change the world in a better place. So realistic goals every day.
Yeah, Brennan, and I think that you'll agree with this. Even when we do like this 1 hour show, if one person could get one little nugget out of it, he was worth it.
Yes,
it was
absolutely.
Worth everything.
100%. And that's the thing, is everybody goes through different challenges.
Right.
And finding that, I always say on air, I'm not providing an answer. I'm not telling you what to do. Right. I'm providing you options. Right. And that's all I want, is I want people to be able to find that option in them to really be able to love themselves and bring that light into the world.
Right. And, when I speak to groups, the first thing I'll tell them is, look, I'm just going to tell you my story. I'm going to tell you what I believe and what I think, but it's up to you to take that and apply that to your own life and your family's life. And if you think it's crap, then you think it's crap. If you think it's great, then you think it's great.
Yep.
But even if you think it's crap, at least you've figured out something that you don't agree with, and you can head towards your own decision.
Yep. I think that's 100% on the right mind track on that, because everybody's so focused on what they think, and theirs is always right. But if nobody says, look, I don't have all the answers, I just want to be able to help. And that's just my way of leading. And it's so different in today's society. And I say that because I've had jobs. I owned a restaurant and had to lead and stuff like that. And the thing is, people are, in today's society, we all think we have the right answer. It's because of social media, all these different little things. Our voices are louder than they've ever been. But nobody's truly stopping to listen and hear the heart of each other. And for me, that's all I want to do, is help people hear their heart to be their best them. We have that light in us. Why can't we all just spark it together and keep each other going?
Right. Well, and when you're talking about things and you're sharing your opinions, it's what's good for you may not be good for you.
Correct.
What's good for me may not be good for you.
I knew what you meant.
I sure most people did, but hey, I'm a writer and a speaker, so I got to make sure I clarify.
People are gonna be like, "Wait, I'm confused." They email that.
Yeah.
Now I have a question for you. Are you ready?
I am.
So you and I were talking before the show, and you were telling me a little bit about yourself and how I loved your baseball jersey.
Thank you.
And now, is that your team you played on?
No. This is just a jersey that says autism awareness.
Got it. Because I love it. I want to wear one of those too for people.
Amazon.
Really?
Yes.
No way. I had no idea. Now, Amazon Autism Awareness shirt. Thank you.
No
now
problem.
I know what to get. So with that, you were telling me how you, in high school, you made it through school. And you were out of high school for years before you even got diagnosed with autism.
Yeah.
And what fascinates me is how the fact that you made it through school, you've done these amazing things, and then you turn around and you find this out later in life. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going? Sorry to
I'm
interrupt you. I've been listening in while driving over here. Really great hearing
Jason,
you. And
can you turn up a little bit?
What you got to say, but what?
Hey, can you hit your volume a little bit?
Volume up.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, just get closer. Okay. Yeah, I was listening in on what you're talking about, and the way you describe bipolar 2, that's what I have also, is right spot on. We don't get the manic, we get hypomanic, we don't get manic. And when I describe manic, it's just, I tell people it's like doing 3 lines of meth and a case of Red Bull, and that is manic. I don't get that high, but that is what manic is. I mean, it's almost psychotic. It is, and that's what often happens with type 1.
And by the way, just clear, I don't know anything about the meth or the case of Red Bull. So.
Well, that's a good thing. Don't do meth. All right, like let's make sure we emphasize that. Don't do meth.
And not only just because of the legal reasons, but because the human mind is so delicate in its chemistry, meth messes it up. So whatever medications you're on, even if you're religious about taking medication, you start doing meth or other recreational drugs, you're risking a lot. You're risking your life because it can go toxic. You have no idea how some of these medications and this pharmacology is going to mix. Yeah. And you can kill yourself easily. I mean, so many overdoses, I wonder, they're drug overdoses, but I wonder how many of them were on psych meds too.
Yeah.
And had a bad reaction.
By the way, I love the beard and the bald. You're looking mighty fine today, my friend. I just want to point that out to everybody.
Jason, and by the way, besides bipolar 2, you and Brandon also share one other thing in that he went to school to be a pastor.
Oh, yeah, I did.
I did too. What were you, a pastor or youth pastor?
No, I was a pastor. I was a senior pastor. I started a church. I was a biker pastor. I pastored a biker church. For awesome.
Bikers.
Yeah. I mean, I ran with outlaw biker clubs. I was a member in an outlaw biker club. I pastored them. I was working from the inside of the club. All other churches, they work from the outside of the club because they're not allowed in. I was able to work with these guys on a one-on-one basis as their pastor and counsel them, talk with them. As far as I know, I've never led anybody to the Lord, but I mean, I got a lot further. I was sitting in a room with a galloping goose who was in the hospital. A so-called biker pastor shows up. They about cussed the guy out to get him the hell out of the room. And I told the guy, hey, I'm their pastor.
Yeah. And did they listen? Did people back down then?
Oh yeah. Well, when bikers tell you to get the F out, they're like, yes, here we go. They didn't even want to give us a track. They're ready to leave, because these guys were so-called biker pastors. They're in their 60s. They had a really nice, clean leather vest with a shiny, brand new patch that says whatever the church is they're with, their cute little club. I had dead bugs on my cuts. I had motor oil and blood on my patch. Everything was filthy because I rode the piss out of my bike, and you get dirty. Oil, you're behind, especially when you're in a group with Harleys in the front, and some of these guys are riding shovel heads, and shovel heads leak a lot of oil. Yep. And where does that oil go? To the assholes in the back of the pack. So,
are you the one that was in the back? You're the one driving.
I had to work my way forward. Everybody starts out in the back of the pack.
I had to learn that.
Place. Yep.
I didn't. I've been learning. I had a motorcycle, but I only rode with 2 or 3 friends. Yeah. And when I went off to college, sold it to pay for some of college. but like I never did like the big cross country trips or a long journey, like even down to Missouri. And like my buddy, who's a big biker, was like, "Oh, we're getting you a bike by next summer. You're going to be in there." Da, da, da. And then he's like, "But you have to be in the back of the pack." And I'm like, "Where are you?" He's like, "Oh, I'm near I'm closer to the front." Well, that's not fair. Why do you get to be to the front? And he starts laughing, and he's like, "Brandon, I get to be at the front because I've done it for years. You have to be in the back because you want the people up front, and then the one way in the back being like the best driver. That way it's cleaning up, making sure no one gets left behind and all that." I'm like, so I get all the rocks shot at me. And he was like, "Yep, that's how it's going to go." I'm like, all right, as long as I know the rules.
Yeah, it's a safety issue, too, because you don't want an inexperienced rider up to the front leading the pack. Because if they slam on the brakes, you're going to have a pileup, which I've been in. It sucks. So, yeah. It's pretty. Yeah, when you ride, it's not if you get in a wreck, it's when you get in a wreck. That's how often we're on bikes and on the road, interstate, stuff like that. So, and I was running with those guys, and it destroyed my life being bipolar and my depression. When my church collapsed, I went into a 3-year depression.
What got you out of it?
Time.
What are you doing now for yourself, Jason?
Well, I am med compliant, so I'm on my meds, taking them right route, right dose, right time. I do not isolate myself, or I try not to isolate myself as much as possible, because isolating yourself is one of the worst things to do when you're in a depressed state. So I surround myself with real positive friends, people like JR, stuff like that. I have people I can talk to when the shit hits the fan.
Sometimes positive.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a woman now, so, guess who got left by the wayside?
Oh, JR.
Please.
JR. I understand. Don't worry, buddy. I get it too. You got it. Soon as Jason's got his woman, he'll be gone too. Don't worry.
Yeah.
By the way, wonderful woman, just to be clear. But anyway, I've not left you by the wayside, please.
So
I love those text messages you send in the middle of the night.
Okay.
And
we're gonna find out your.
It was one, and it was by mistake.
Like that. It was just a mistext, and I knew who he meant to send it to.
Yeah.
But I had to give him shit about it anyways.
And it wasn't dirty.
Are you sure it wasn't dirty?
I'm very sure it wasn't dirty.
Not. He just said we had a great night, that kind of stuff, But so I had to fuck with him. I replied
absolutely. Back. Yeah. You didn't. It's totally not acceptable.
Jason, as you should.
Yeah.
And as I will do back to you.
Yep.
It's that respect for it.
Yeah. Right. Not if I send him a dick pic, it's going to be win.
So I'm going to make sure that JR gets my number, but Jason, I'm going to have to think about you getting my number.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's a very good call, by the way.
So I was asking JR right before you jumped in here about him being diagnosed with autism after graduating and everything, and the challenges he went through, and how he's been able to adapt with that, and if there's been any changes. And we were talking about it before we went live. And JR, I wanted to ask about that. Like, how have you seen? Did you think that diagnosis changed anything for you?
It was like an epiphany. I mean,
really,
it was like, wow. Now I've got a reason for all these quirky behaviors and things that I feel like I just have to do. Yeah. Now I know why. In fact, so the name of my website, blog, and everything else is Not Weird, Just Autistic. And those were actually the words I said as I walked out from the psychologist's office to my car. I said, wow, I'm not weird, just autistic.
I love how you phrase that. I'm not weird. Now, I have a question. No. Growing up, go ahead.
I am weird still, but it has to do with autism.
Lean into the weird. I love leaning into the weird. Mm-hmm. I actually, it's funny you use the word weird. I actually journal every morning, and I have a question I have to ask myself every morning. It changes. So like today was, what is your purpose here? And when I was writing, what came out was how I've always felt that everybody calls me weird, special, different. And I've always let that affect me in a negative way. Did you guys ever have that same feeling where people said something to you like, oh, you're special? And it's like, you don't know whether they're meaning it like you are really good, or is it like they're completely insulting me? Because by the end of my journal entry, I was writing about how the fact that my weirdness became who I am. And the sooner I learn to accept me, the better I've been able to be as a person, as a mental health advocate, and on. But growing up hearing that, like, oh, you're weird. Oh, you're special. Did that affect you guys?
To me, it did. But I didn't really hear special because special as used now wasn't used back when I was in school and when I was younger.
Yeah, the R word was.
But yeah. It definitely was.
I could handle any word in the dictionary. Any word. Drop an F-bomb, drop a this, drop a that, okay? It's that word that I have always hated because it's used in such a negative connotation.
And the other F word. And the other F word.
Oh, yes. The one that we... Yes. And honestly, that one is just as bad because of the fact that you're not... It's those two words remove respect from a person. But the thing is, when someone say it, you're not removing the respect from the other person. You're removing the respect from yourself when you use those words.
Right.
Because you're insulting someone in such a weird way. And yes, Fernando, I can be weird too. I'm a unique soul, and I love being able to meet my weird brothers like this. I love it.
Yeah, and I liked how you put it, about, which is very true, is learning to accept yourself in order to become comfortable in your own skin. It was like, once I got past worrying about what other people thought about me and I got comfortable, that was the most freeing experience in my life. And I had that in my late 20s, where I didn't give a shit what people thought about me. I was like, I just care less because I was tired of that being put down my entire life, being bullied and all that shit from in high school and elementary and all, and put it all behind me and just say, I don't care. I really, literally don't care anymore what you think. But it took me years, though, still to get used to my mental illness, though, to accept that. I mean, literally accept that. I fought it tooth and nail. I tried to get it overturned. I was trying to get back in the military, so, there's no way they're going to give me a gun, So.
Right? And that's my thing. Everybody asks me if I have a gun because of whatever's going on in society. And I'm like, I'm legally not allowed a gun. And people think I'm like even weirder when I say that. And I'm like, look, I know how to shoot. I know how to take care of a gun. I know how to clean a gun. I know all the stuff about safety. But at the end of the day, by law, I can't do that. But I can have a cannabis card and get medical marijuana. So I like that part too.
Hey,
see, where I'm at, though, that's not true. I can, unless you've been committed by a judge. A judge has to take it away from you.
Oh, Jason,
so
it can vary from state to state, can it?
Will not prohibit you from owning a firearm.
Can that vary from state to state?
Huh?
Yeah.
Because what's legal for us in Missouri may not be legal for him in Ohio.
That's what I mean. It depends on what state you're in.
Yes.
Yep. In Ohio, if you have...
Yeah.
Yep. In Ohio, if you have a license to carry, you cannot have a medical card for marijuana. But if you have a medical card, you cannot have a license to carry.
Yeah.
Do you want to know the weirdest part about that?
Please.
When if you have your license to carry, you can carry it on your hip, open carry, walking around. You can walk into a liquor store, buy alcohol, and leave. But you're not allowed to have anything with the cannabis plant and have a gun. And I'm like, that's a little backwards in my eyes, but I'm also someone that's a cannabis advocate, so that doesn't help.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the other flip it around is this: how many people do you know that committed suicide were also drunk?
Bingo.
Not because of the alcohol. Alcohol is a depressant, and that cannabis is not.
Correct.
Or at least most strains are not. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, there is some little ones out there that'll cause depression or put you down. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, yeah.
You're good. I get it.
I think too that the cannabis is, each strain reacts to your body differently.
Yeah.
So what depresses me may not depress Brandon, may not depress you.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah, again, getting back to that human mind, how balanced it is because of that chemistry. And pharmacology, I mean, it took me 20 years to get my medication straightened out, to find the right cocktail 20 years, not joking. This is the VA system. This is the VA system. They don't do psychological analyzing. They go
Which
entirely
is-
off of what you self-report as your symptoms.
See, and that's a problem because, like you said, it took 20 years to get the right medications, and you're already dealing with the VA, which has had a reputation of not being able to provide for vets, and they should. So with that, I have to ask, finding the medicines that work and the ones that were going for you, it takes time to be able to get that. It took my doctors years
Well, it also
too.
takes good doctors. That's the other thing. I had one
Thank you.
good doctor who took me off of the medication. I was on 11 pills. 7
Way too many.
No. Listen, it gets worse. 7 contraindications. 7 that would have killed me, shut my kidneys down, because one doctor kept piling meds on. Nobody would take anything off until I got this one doc. And she's like looking at my med list and is like, there's no effing way you're going to be on all this stuff because, and basically she stripped me down to lithium, Wellbutrin, and that was it.
Wow.
So from 11 pills down to 2 medications. And
how much different did you feel?
A hell of a lot better. Because what was is the doc I had 3 docs before her he basically was putting Band-Aids on and shit like that on bullet wounds.
Yep.
Oh, doc, I can't sleep. All right, here you go. Here's some trazodone. Oh, doc, I can't concentrate. Here you go. Here's some Ritalin. Oh, doc, I can't do this. He just gave pills. And he wasn't looking up. And the pharmacy should have been the first ones to catch this.
I agree.
The computer system should have caught this. I know Walgreens does it, but the VA does not have a computer system that shows contraindications like that, like the Walgreens would. They get a big old
Walgreens
red
doesn't always
flag
catch it
that
either.
pops up when there's a contraindication, making the pharmacist look at it. The VA doesn't do that.
Do you want to know an interesting fact about the United States government with the FDA and medicines?
Yep.
So 3 pills. The FDA can test different things. So like that system that goes to the pharmacy, after 3 pills, they have no idea. So if you get put on a 4th pill, there's no way they're going to know what the effects are going to be. And that's why when you go in and you're like, oh, I'm having trouble sleeping. Okay, here's another pill. Yeah. Because they don't know what to fix with it, and they can't.
But also on the flip side, though, if you go to the nurse's desk reference, the pill book, it has all of them on there. When you get I've looked at those damn sheets they give me that are 1.5 billion pages long with little tiny print telling me the chemical makeup of the pill I'm taking. Because by federal law, they got to have all that listed. So it's in there. I mean, even though the FDA has its own requirements, the information is out there. They have no excuse.
It's required that we make our own effort to know what we're putting in our bodies. I 100% agree.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right also that we should be taking personal ownership of and being our own advocate. Taking personal ownership of what's going in our bodies and not just saying, yes, doc, I'll take these pills, and knowing why you're taking them, and what's possible side effects. So
100%. Were you guys on medicine as a kid? I'm just curious.
I was just for ADD.
Yeah, just for ADD?
But again, remember, I wasn't depressed with diagnosed with either depression or anxiety until I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and there is no medicine for autism anyway. But I wasn't diagnosed with autism until I was 46. So,
see, as a kid, and when I was in school, they had me on Adderall and Ritalin, and the levels they had me on are illegal to prescribe that much now. And I'm sitting there going, as a 3rd grader, 3rd grade was when they started me on this because I couldn't sit still. The joke with my team is I'm the H in ADHD because I'm always hyper, I'm always moving. And I saw the medicines they were putting me on, and I would fight the doctors and be like, look, I'm a kid, but I don't like the way this makes me feel. I can't focus. And they're, oh, no, it's there to help you focus. And I think of how many people in my generation to even your generation were getting put on these pills. And Jason, just like yours, where you were on 11 pills a day, there's a point where that's affecting so much of your mental health. It's affecting who you are as a person, and you lose who you might be. And then imagine being 46 and having to start figuring that out. At least with JD, when they diagnosed it, that was like taking a book bag off his back that was full of bricks and able to give him an answer. For you and I, it's Sorry, buddy. I was just sending you a dick pic.
Yeah, it's my daughter.
JR, that was so worth it to get your face like that, buddy. I hope you know. I had to. That was right there. The joke was right there. But like, in all seriousness, I look at the amount of pills that are prescribed today and how quickly people are like, just anything you have wrong, they want to prescribe you a pill. You have a headache, go take a Tylenol. And it's just like, what are we doing to slow ourselves down to actually look inside ourselves? What are we doing to align ourselves and help ourselves? And being men, standing out doing what we're doing right now is a huge thing. Talking about mental health, talking about why these are essential. And there's so many men that this is such a don't talk about mental health. We don't do that. Go be a man. You just keep going.
Yeah,
Sorry.
See,
I
grew up military. I'm a Navy brat. So I spent 20 years, literally half my life in the military, either as a dependent or as active duty as a combat medic. And
thank you for your service.
Mental illness and mental health when growing up, and also how it was treated when I was in, radically different than now. But the military culture had no allowances for mental illness. Because if you're found to have a mental illness, you were discharged and you were out of the military. So we didn't have to. I mean, that was the kiss of death of your career, first of all. But the other thing is you weren't exposed to it either.
Yeah.
Because there is no crazy man down the street, that walks around in his underwear, because the military cleans that stuff up. They get it out. And that was how it was treated. We were, you're cleaned up, you're put out, just like the trash, because you're a broken soldier. And so that's how I grew up.
Doesn't that piss you off a little bit, though? You volunteer to serve, and then they're telling you you're broken.
I could have routed. I should have gotten a medical discharge, and I was not given one. I was given administrative discharge, so I have no retirement benefits. All I have is VA benefits. I could have retired and have full benefits and a pension.
And they took that away from you.
They took that away from me.
See, that's just wrong.
My sergeant took that away from me.
And that's
who did that.
And see, that's the thing. There's so many issues with that nowadays. Like, where when we hear the word mental illness, it's got this negative mindset to it for people. And you are, like, Jason, you're a good dude. Like, I could tell just through this conversation, you actually care for people and you want people to be able to get the best out of themselves just in the few minutes I'm getting to know you here.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if somebody hears that you have a mental illness, have you ever noticed people treat you differently? Or after you got diagnosed with autism to bipolar 2, when you tell people that, they all of a sudden have like a little bit of a standoffish to you? Have you noticed people do that?
I used to not even tell people.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, most people didn't know I had a mental illness. I hid it very well. I was high functioning for many years. It wasn't until my depressive episode that I had to go on full disability with the VA, and I won it. So I actually was able to go on full disability. And but I can't hold a job anymore. I tried 3 jobs I've tried since just because I was so freaking bored. The first 6 months of retirement are awesome, dude. But after that, unless you get a hobby, you are going to go bonkers.
What's your hobby?
Podcasting and radio. I got a live radio show.
Oh, I was going to say Dungeons and Dragons, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, and Dungeons and Dragons.
D&D.
Yes, and which I'm actually getting a group together called Dungeons and Dog Tags, and it's for veterans only.
So Brian Tracy is a vet. He's a military. He's a Marine vet. The one commenting here.
Jarhead too. And, but yeah, if you go to thebipolardm.com, you can hit me up there. But it's dungeons.dogtags on Facebook is the handle. And,
now, am I allowed?
All vets, all eras, all branches of service, even the Coast Guard, and yeah. It's not that I get to rag on my brethren in the other branches. I mean, that is how. But that's the funny thing is, this is how we talk.
It is.
As military, we talk like this all the time, and civilians often don't get it, and that's why I want to have a group just for us, so that we can rag on the puddle pirates and the squids and the jarheads and the dogs. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Oh, even though I'm not a vet,
so far you have yet to make fun of the sailors. Would you like to disparage them in any way?
Well, I already called you squids, but all
Yeah,
right.
thank you.
Here's a joke for you. Why do they Navy? Why does the Navy bring Marine Corps on board? Sheep would be too
as a
obvious.
corpsman, I used to think it was just because we needed somebody to fix up.
No, it's a sheep. Sheep would be too obvious.
you know what? Brian's gonna message me.
Once.
2 branches at once. Brian's gonna message me after the show and be like, I want to be a part of his D&D group just so I can make fun of him now. He's going to want to talk smack with you. You know that.
Yeah. And we missed that. We missed that fellowship to be able to rag on each other and stuff like that. Like, that camaraderie we have from shared suffering from the very beginning, from basic training, that shared suffering that we both have, and also embracing the suck. But,
Jason, it's not always that shared suffering, because you and I did basically the same job. You were in the Army, I was in the Navy, but I saw nothing where you have PTSD from the stuff you saw just being in the United States at Walter Reed Medical Center, not even being overseas.
Yeah.
Really?
It was until 2002. I could not get I was not allowed to have the possibility of benefits, a pension, without because of PTSD, because the official policy of the DoD was, unless you were in combat, you cannot get PTSD. Well, Congress had to overturn that, so they expanded PTSD to include sexual trauma, as well as combat medics who have been exposed to trauma, victims, and stuff like that. For me, it was the embassy bombings of Kenya and Tanzania was part of it. And also Bosnia was going on. I had a lot of people that came in that were fragged, sniper rounds, stuff like that. Because we weren't in a stand-up conflict with them. They were just taking pot shots at us, throwing hand grenades at us and stuff like that. So it was just a mess. But Congress had overturned that. And so then I was able to get on disability because of that.
See, I'm just glad you were able to get on disability because of that, because the fact that you lost your other stuff because of a mental illness, it's one of these things that I see people for who they are. And I think that there's a lot of times that people don't really, they hear certain things and they create that judgment right off the bat. Yeah. And that's really hard, and Jason, you're not striking me as someone who I would be worried about if I saw you walking down the street. If you're having a depressive episode, you seem like you would keep to yourself and just walk by everybody. You're not just going to walk up and want to start fighting me.
Yeah. I just recently went out with somebody.
No. I'll say that. I would say that is the correct answer 90 to 95% of the time.
Yeah.
But when he gets pushed, he responds.
Yeah,
but that's how you're supposed to. He has military. You both have military training, so
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just telling you that he is like that almost all the time. But he will get pushed and he will respond.
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
and it is not pretty.
Yeah, it's like, don't piss me off. I have oodles of time on my hands, and I can make this my personal war. Like, my doc pissed me off, and I've gone to my congressman, my senator, and to also patient advocacy about him, because he cut me off my meds for 2 weeks because he didn't want to give me a temp script until he could see me. So I went off my lithium for 2 weeks, cold turkey. I had to go. I had to go on the black market to get my medication.
Like, that is 100% unacceptable, because your doctor is there to help keep you balanced. And if they're prescribing you things.
What happens when you go cold turkey off that medication?
Yes. What was the worst one you say you were on? Did you say lithium?
Lithium high dose. I was on 1,200 milligrams of lithium. And
1,200?
Yes, 1,200. And I had it so bad I had the shakes, the lithium shakes.
Yeah.
It almost turned into tardive dyskinesia, almost. I still got a little bit of the shakes, even though I'm on a lower dose. But
Like-
I had to quit tattooing. I was a tattoo artist in a Hell's Angels shop while I was pastoring the biker church. And and I had to quit tattooing because I was on so much fucking lithium that my hand shook. And, and unless you want lightning bolts, I couldn't tattoo.
You know what? Do you still tattoo?
I have all the equipment to do it. I just haven't.
So if I drive through Missouri, you'd give me another tattoo?
Oh, hell yeah.
I got
first again. Yeah.
I would love that. I'm a tattoo guy. I interviewed a longtime friend of mine has 2 daughters who are deaf. And both her daughters are one's a senior in high school. The other one's a junior or a sophomore right now. And the sophomore's already starting to show signs of severe depression. So her mom told her, reach out to Brandon. He's going to talk to you about it. Just tell him what's going through your mind. So when she reached out, I was like, what do you do for you? She's an artist. And her goal is to actually make tattoo art for people to help know about mental illness, like the semicolon tattoo.
Yeah.
Yep. So she's designing a mental health crest for people to be able to do stuff. That way it brings attention to it. And I promised her the minute that she's ready with it, I would get that tattooed on me as an honor to her. Because
I would do it too. I'm
right?
Do it too. So yeah, send it my way and I'll definitely get that tattooed on me, or I'll put it on myself.
I love that. Yeah. All right. How many you got? Like I have a full sleeve.
I have the gospel message tattooed on my arms in pictograph. So I was able to. So what I can do is I can explain the gospel by just my arms.
That is awesome.
You see the lion and the flames.
Yeah.
That's the Lion of Judah when the Holy Spirit, the flames right there. Then you have the. I gotta turn my arm around. Cross. Yeah, got the cross and the holy water. Yeah, and then the living water, which is the water of life.
What are your beads?
On here, yep. And then on here, you have charis, which is Greek for peace, and charis, which is grace, and shalom, which is peace.
Yes.
Yeah, and just so we're clear, people that are going to listen to this starting tomorrow on Straight Audio Podcast, thank you for joining us.
I should have said, this one's in Hebrew, this one's in Greek lettering, green. But anyways, but the thing about tattoos is that tattoos are stories, and I actually got into where I could read prison tats. I can tell what prison you probably served in, what you did to get in there, what if you lost a family member while you were in prison, if you killed somebody. I could be able to do that reading tattoos, and because tattoos have a lot of meaning, and
this one does.
I was about to say, JR, tell me I saw you look at your arm. Yes. What's your tattoo?
Oh, that was awesome.
When people ask me what my problem is, I had to show them this. It says Asperger's.
Oh my gosh, yes. I love it. Is that your only tattoo?
No. It's got flames on the bottom because my brain is always on fire.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to see. Oh.
Yeah, it's not so easy, is it?
Red light bulb for autism acceptance.
Is that both of those? All right. I like that. You guys have some baller tattoos.
All over my legs and on my arms, and I just can't. I'd have to take most of my clothes off to show you my tattoos. So.
And we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not?
I'm going commando. So.
What do you mean? I was getting ready. Oh, my bad. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Put this back on. I have. I'm finishing a full sleeve tattoo, but I love how yours tells a story. Do you guys like the Ninja Turtles?
Yeah, well said, Brian. Yes, of course.
I have all 4 Ninja Turtles on me.
Nice.
So, see, this is hard.
Yeah.
Doing it with the camera. So, I'm from Cleveland.
Okay, yeah, I see Michelangelo.
So he's actually Chef Mike RD right there because Chef Boyardee's from Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
So it keeps that the sports scene of Cleveland. I have the Guardians to protect us. So that's Donnie, and then Leo is over Tower City.
Yeah.
And if I have to undress, I will to show you the one that goes around. But
you will not.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my actual unit crest, unit patch.
I love it. Oh my gosh, that's cool. So, all right, because this is a video and we're having fun showing each other tattoos. Why do you like tattoos for mental health? Do you go in? I go into my own world when I get a tattoo. It's meditative to me. What about you guys?
I'm a little sadistic. It was actually, yeah, I was a cutter, so I used to cut, and tattoos was one way to keep from cutting was getting a lot of tattoos. And then when I started doing it myself, one way I practiced was tattooing on myself, and so it was a form of cutting, but it was more artistic, which is better than the scars I have on my body from cutting.
Sure. I think that's a good way of putting it, and that's mine. Is they tell a story too. And they have to. It reminds me to always. Mine is remember to have your childlike faith. That's why it's the Ninja Turtles. It describes a whole bunch of little things in it that if I was to start to explain, you'd be like, I'm going to go to Cleveland just because it has so many little connections. And when you guys decide to come to Cleveland, you're staying with me, and I'm going to run you around Cleveland and show you some pretty cool things. We'll go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All of it.
I lived in Buffalo for 3 years, and I have a friend who lives just outside of Cleveland, or who did live outside of Cleveland, and we spent 4th of July in early 90s in Cleveland, and we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, went downtown on the waterfront to watch the fireworks, had some great food, and Cleveland gets a really bad rap, but it's not a bad city.
It's fascinating to me when you talk to people who have never been there, because they're like, oh, Cleveland, the mistake by the lake. And then I can just sit there and I'm like, all right, let's talk about that. Why? Because it caught fire. Did you know it's not one of even the top 10 biggest water fires in history of the United States? The only reason it became so popular is the article that was written about it was actually written, ready for this, in Time magazine, in the article that in the issue that was the moon landing, which is the #1 magazine ever sold, most magazines ever. It was in that. So because of the moon landing, they had this article about water catching fire in Cleveland, and it gave us this negative nickname. But without that, we would not have the EPA today.
Yeah, but you know what? Let's be honest. Water catching fire is always a good story.
They do. Yes, 100% yes. Yeah. Now, you guys are not far from Kansas City, and you've mentioned Buffalo. Are you football fans?
Yeah.
Grew up in Los Angeles. We're not discussing last night, but a Raider fan.
Okay.
Kansas City Chiefs.
You know what? You and I are going to be talking smack to each other coming up at the end of the season. You know that, right? The Browns versus the Chiefs. It's going to be a big one.
That's my number 2 team. It's the
my
Chiefs
number
first, and the Browns are second. I love the Browns. So the dog pound, yeah.
Oh, I love it. Have you ever been to do you go to the Chiefs games?
No. First of all, it's too damn expensive. And the second thing is I don't know much about football. I just like watching the games. So I couldn't I can tell you who's the quarterback, and that's it.
Brandon,
Patrick Mahomes.
My daughter
No, I mean the position.
The Raiders Chiefs in December.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Say that again?
My daughter and her husband are taking me to Raiders Chiefs at Arrowhead in December.
Yes.
How do you feel with the Raiders being moved?
Well,
doesn't faze you?
In my lifetime, they've been in Oakland, Los Angeles, Oakland, and now Vegas. So, whatever.
True. You're like, they move around enough that it doesn't matter anymore.
The team nobody wants.
No, everybody wants.
I was gonna say, I don't know. They get to take their colors and their name with them whenever they leave. Yeah. So that means people like it.
Cool. And the Raiders Army too.
It's not like Baltimore East, right? Or Cleveland East.
Okay, yeah, Cleveland East. You mean the ones that stole our team in the middle of the night?
Okay. So that's a whole other mental health issue on its own.
Sorry, PTSD for sports. Sorry.
Yeah. Before we go, though, we got like 10 or 15 minutes, but let's talk a little bit about the CBD.
Yeah. Perfect. So, honestly, growing up, I became a pastor, blah, blah, blah. I saw the benefits of the cannabis plant because I actually was on 15 pills a day at one point. I attempted suicide. The doctors were like, he's got mental issues, he's broken, blah, blah, blah. And they just kept prescribing stuff. I was going to bed at 10 p.m. at night and waking up at 4 in the afternoon. That was how unhealthy I was. And it was like they had no explanation other than prescribing me another pill. So when I woke up one day and just my mind was like, nope, we're done. And I dumped all my pills. I called my doctor. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm a zombie. I can't hold a job. I don't feel like a human being anymore. I'd rather dump these and figure something else out and start over than deal with that.
To be clear, not a great idea to necessarily just dump all your pills.
Correct.
If you do something like that, you do need to talk to your doctor, and you do need to taper down off of them.
Correct. I let's be clear. I did not have my doctor's approval
No.
and all that. So I want to make sure nobody don't do that. Make sure you talk to your doctor. That was not right of me.
And also physically, the pills. If you are going to dispose of medication, take it to the pharmacy or take it to the sheriff's office.
Good point.
Don't leave pills out, especially narcotics.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if you want to take them to the sheriff's office around here because they'll list about them up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I say that as somebody who lives in county land and is patrolled by the sheriff, so
completely
count on for my police safety.
So that's why I dumped mine in a toilet. So when they flushed, they were gone. And I don't do that unless your doctor approves it. Let's just say that.
Well,
all right.
It's dangerous for the environment and to wildlife, especially if it dumps into waterways. A lot of sewage goes from the sewage plant and back into the water streams, and so that medication is not filtered out. If enough people are doing it, it can poison. It doesn't take much to poison a lake. So
let's not do that. Nobody do what I did
at all. No,
do as I
the pharmacy.
Do as you say, not as you did.
Yes, thank you, JR. Yeah. So my thing was, I needed a new way of being able to. Like JR said, his brain's on fire. Yeah. Like that's how I felt. It was all the time. So somebody said, you need to just smoke, calm down. And I never smoked because I was a pastor. And I was one of these things where I thought it was always the devil's lettuce, growing up with that, Yep. So for me, I had to break that stereotype. But what was interesting is the minute I started smoking, Marijuana. Yeah. I don't do tobacco. The minute I started smoking marijuana, I saw the difference and I started learning more. And I threw myself into this industry. I had a great job. I was running one of the largest Starbucks in the United States as a head manager and all that. And then all of a sudden I broke and I wanted nothing to do with any of it anymore. I literally wanted to be able to know more about this plant, re-get myself back to better. And I jumped on a plane and I flew to California. The bipolar in me, just random acts of just going and doing something fun. And I lived in California for 6 months, sleeping in on a grow facility's floor, just because I wanted to learn everything that they were doing. And as I went through it, I saw all these benefits from the hemp plant to the cannabis plant as a whole, learning the differences of them and all that. And the biggest thing in me was I wanted to be able to break a barrier. I wanted my mom and dad to be able to see the benefit of a plant, but they're never going to smoke. The news talks so negative about oils. They're not going to do that. Lotions and gummies have their own issues as well. How am I going to get them to try it? So I took every part of my savings, everything in my life, and threw it into this, and I created my company, Delight Cafe. So it's individual, full-spectrum product that is odorless, colorless, tasteless. It's the only one on the market that you can literally open this up and add it to anything. So let's say you're out to eat, Jason, and JR sends you a dick pic, and you get really pissed, okay?
That would happen.
Do you want me to reverse this? Do you want me to reverse it? JR, you're out to eat with your girl, and Jason sends you a dick pic. How about that? Is that better?
On purpose, too.
On purpose. So you know it. The aggravation, the annoyance. Imagine being able to open up a pack of Delight, sprinkle it on your salad, put it inside your drink, literally put it in your ketchup and stir it with a French fry, and you just made your ketchup a CBD ketchup. You can make your... Go ahead.
Am I doing this before or after I block Jason's number on my phone?
Probably do it like right before. So when you're blocking him, it's in a calm state where you're balanced and not mad as mad. I mean, if anything, you could also just share it somewhere on social media. Get his LinkedIn account and just make that his profile picture really quick. No, don't do that, people.
No.
But
I can't do that because it would have already been deleted.
If he sends you that, you have my permission to get mad, because good Lord, would that not be something you want to get randomly at dinner with, especially on a date with your wonderful woman? So for me, it was breaking barriers. It was creating a way for people, because everybody carries something. Like, have you ever gone somewhere and like all of a sudden you get a cup of coffee, you can grab a packet of sugar almost anywhere. You can go walk in somewhere and be able to get like a creamer at coffee houses with ease. At the gym, you could find a protein powder right there to be able to put in your water. So for me, it was that individual packet that lets people be able to rebalance themselves by finding their calm in life again, to bring the delight out of them. So for me, that's how that all came about.
So now I was looking at your website, delightcafe.com, which is at the bottom of the screen.
Thank you.
So is it 1 pack per day?
So that's actually the best part. You know how like your doctor like prescribes stuff and they tell you, oh, like you do 1 pill a day, but then all of a sudden they're like, oh, you're having, like, you tell them, I'm just feeling a little extra like anxious lately. Right. I'm feeling like things are triggering me. And then like, okay, up it to 1.5 pills a day. So you're not going to be able to do that with a pack as easy. But imagine if when you're able to be out in public, like you start the day with it, put it in your morning coffee, your morning tea, start the day with it. But then all of a sudden somebody cuts you off on the way home from work and you just want to run them off the road. Don't do it, but you want to. Imagine being able to open that pack of delight, pour it in your water, and drink it. Technically, you could have that entire box in a day. There's 30 packs in a box. That way you have 1 per day if you'd like. But then there's also the fact that you could have more than 1 in a day if you need it to help keep yourself balanced. My recommendation is whenever you feel anger, anxiety, depression, just anything coming in and starting, the minute it starts, don't dive into all the answers of why. Do yourself a favor and rebalance yourself, so that way, as you're doing it, you're able to know that you've set yourself up for success, not going into an emotional state.
Right. And the one thing I did like about your website and what I saw about the product so far is you can get it on a subscription service.
Yes, and that's on purpose, because I want people to be able, so the average month has 30 to 31 days. That's why I did the 30 packets, so you can literally put it in there every single day, because when your doctor prescribes you a pill, it's usually 30 days at a time or 3 months. And for me, if you're able to do this, I'm going to not name drop or anything, but I've had people who are professional football players who were like, let me try it. And I started giving them a box just to take home. I have to tell you, it's the funniest thing in the world listening to 6-foot gentlemen that are 300 pounds call me and be like, my wife is so much nicer. I've been putting it in her drink all week. And it's like, oh, don't do that.
Okay,
but,
so 6-foot guy rules out Baker Mayfield.
Yes, it was not Baker Mayfield. He actually did play for the Browns, and I could give you a really big hint. He was on the cover. He's the only Browns player to ever make the cover of Madden.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a big hint, and it was years ago. I met him a couple years ago when I first started this, and he was talking about he owns a lot of acreage down in Arkansas and wanted to grow hemp. So him and I met to talk about growing hemp together, and he was kind of my idol when he won the Madden cover. Like, I just loved his energy of just pushing through, and nobody was going to stop him because he was a nobody. And from there, he just started getting into CBD. He fell in love with it. Like I said, he was putting it in his wife's drink unknowingly to her, which I don't recommend to anybody. But his wife turned around and she's like, I've never wanted to do CBD. And he's like, you've been doing it for a week. And their kids were the second people in their mom's life to be like, you've been nicer. You've been a lot more calmer. You've been more patient with us, all these different things. And because of that, they became monthly membership subscribers.
Wow. And it can't be Josh Gordon because he's on the other side.
Yeah. And he's now in Kansas City. I kind of hope he does well. That way when
he was just activated today.
Oh, he was? I didn't even know that yet.
Yeah, he was supposed to be on the practice squad for one more week, but I guess he was doing so well, the Chiefs activated him today, so he's going to play on Sunday.
Really? I had no idea.
Watch him Sunday night.
So I know we're getting near the end of the time.
It's okay.
If I was to do a promotional code for anybody that goes to delightcafe.com from watching this show for you guys, what would you want that promotional code to be? I'll make it right after the show.
MHHH? Mental health.
I love that. MHHH.
Yep.
That worked.
HHH. Boom. I absolutely love that because that opens up a door for everybody. So MHHH, all caps. And that way, literally, how long have you guys been doing this?
2 months, almost 3 now.
Almost 3 months. 20% off?
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. I wanted, there's 2 of you, so I'm like 10 each. That will work. Yeah. 20% off. MHHH is going to be the promo code. Sign up and you get 20% off for helping spread positivity for Mental Health Happy Hour.
All right. Well, it's great having you on. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the banter. It was really enjoyable.
But Jason, I got one more question before you guys go.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So let's tie this back into the whole bipolar thing. So, Brandon, we'll start with you. What is, if anybody takes one thing away from this hour about bipolar, what would you want it to be?
In any situation, no matter who it is, no matter what goes on, if you're able to keep yourself calm in that situation, no matter how angry you are inside, you stay calm, you can walk away in a balance, knowing you did what was right, and both sides are going to be in a delight. CBD, calm, balance, delight. So take your time to find you because you don't need anybody throwing your energy off because mental health is too important. And so many people are living off emotions and not actually seeing who they really are.
Jason, how about you?
A quote from my drill sergeant, which is, greater be the glory to those of us who survive, from Henry V.
Very well said. Very well said.
You will survive this, no matter how dark it gets, no matter how bad it is, it will end. So don't give up. Sometimes that's all we have to do is survive. We're not expected to win. We just need to make it through to the next day. So if you're having problems, you're in crisis, focus on just getting through the day and don't worry about tomorrow. One day at a time, and we will survive this. And greater be the glory to those of us who survive.
There you go. And just for those of you who may not have heard the whole show, besides watching it back again on Facebook Live and YouTube, you can go tomorrow. This episode will be up on the podcast. So go to your favorite podcast platform, Stitcher, Amazon, iHeart, Google Play, or whatever, and find it there.
Absolutely love this. I'm honored that you guys wanted me on here today, and it was a pleasure meeting you two.
We want you again. We're going to definitely get you back on.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Totally.
I would love that.
I would say this is probably as fast an hour to me as any show we've done so far.
Really? I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
You guys are so easy to talk to. You're honest. You're open. I love that.
That's the whole idea behind this is we just want to have conversations.
I love that.
I don't want to interview anybody. I just want to have a conversation with them.
Now, would you be interested in interviewing one of the guys from my network? His name's Bob.
For sure.
He's a veteran, and he rides his motorcycle everywhere. After his wife died, he gave up everything he had, and he literally rides around with only 3 pairs of clothes in his and his bike, and he goes around the country helping people everywhere he goes.
Yes.
Just trusting it's gonna. You guys will love him. Trust me, he is 1 in a million. Fernando, I know you're watching. Get Bob on here too.
Okay. Well, hey, we will see you guys next week. We will be back with another show. And Brandon, thank you again. DelightCafe.com. Use the promo code MHHH. And at least give them until 3:30 Eastern or 3:30 Central to get that up. So
give me a few minutes.
We'll see you guys later.
Yep.
Bye.
Thank you guys.